NDP leader Jagmeet Singh speech on the London attack, calling it "This is our Canada." But Canada is not a racist country, and in fact, it's one of the most tolerant places on earth. This is the Great White North Report. Jagmeet Singh got up in front of the House of Commons, started lambasting Canadians at how racist we are and that this is our Canada now, talking mostly about the London attack and Islamophobia. And he asked how many more families we mauled down the street, how many more families we kill before we do something, he yelled, his voice rasping, his arm cleaving the air, bunch of theatrics. So he gets all excited because he's trying to make himself more popular to the people, to the Muslim community, to the Sikhs, to the Indians, to the immigrant population, the recent immigrant population of Canada. He's trying to make himself seem more tolerant and acceptable. He's a hypocrite in a lot of ways. So he's trying to seem like he's a very compassionate and vocal leader, but really he's just the leader of a fourth party that suffered badly in the last election under his leadership. Now, did we really need him at the memorial? No, we didn't. He was just one more politician trying to score brownie points. And he told his people, some people have said this is not our Canada. Think about that, what that means. The reality is this is our Canada. Our Canada is a place where you can't walk down the streets if you wear a hijab because you will be killed. That's totally stupid. Stupid thing to say, and it's so far from the truth. He says we can't deny it, we can't reject it because it does no one any help. The reality is our Canada is a place of racism, of violence, of genocide of indigenous people, and our Canada is a place where Muslims aren't safe. Bullshit. They're just as safe as anybody else. Did he forget the van attack in 87? Where a guy drove a van down Yonge Street. He was Muslim. He killed a bunch of people, mostly Christian. So Ruba Subramanya, she had the courage to make a rebuttal, saying, "No, Jagmeet, Canada is not a racist country. It's one of the most tolerant places on earth." And that is totally true. It's not perfect. Nothing's ever perfect. We don't have such a thing as utopia. So Rupa says that Singh does the cause of fighting racism no favors by taking an extreme and exaggerated position that I, as an immigrant and person of color, cannot agree with. First of all, my wife is an immigrant and a person of color, and she doesn't agree with this either. She's had no problems adjusting to this country. She hardly thinks of herself as a person of color. It never comes up. Like, there's no question that hate crimes against many minority groups, including Jewish, Muslim, and Asian Canadians. There's also hate crimes towards Mennonites and Amish. There were hate crimes towards Irish. One of the worst massacres in Canadian history was Irish Catholics killing Irish Catholics who sided with Protestants. The Donnelly Massacre. That's where it had its roots. The Irish Catholic Donnellys pissed off the Irish Catholics in the local Lucan area because they did business with Protestants, and they got blamed for a lot of things, and eventually they got killed one night. 5 of them did. It's something that happens in every country too. It's unfortunate. That happens. If you bring in 1.2 million immigrants into the country over a certain span, these things are going to happen. Any country would be like that. With the CCP virus creating the pandemic that we're in, of course, we're not going to look too friendly upon recent Chinese immigrants, as sad as that is. But you don't think the Muslims don't do hate crimes towards the Jewish and the Christians? Give your head a shake if you think that. No, I agree with this article. Canada is one of the most tolerant countries on the planet, and one that people want to get in, no matter how racist Jagmeet Singh calls us, or how these are very isolated instances where someone takes a lone wolf attack, takes a van and kills somebody. It doesn't happen very often. It's very rare. You're more likely to be gunned down in Pakistan for being a Christian than here in Canada. The fact is, Canada allows anyone to come into our country from all over the world. How many Asian countries or African countries can say the same thing? I know because I've lived in some of them. I've lived in Korea. They will accept foreigners in to visit and even work as teachers, but they will not accept them as citizens. You cannot become a Korean citizen unless you're a gifted soccer coach who gets them to the semifinal. Then they'll gift you citizenship, but that's about it. He's talking about racism in Canada. Well, go to Pakistan. Like, what do you want? You want us to do what Pakistan does and have blasphemy laws? There are many countries, especially in the Middle East and Asia, where they have laws against gays, LGBTQ. It's a death sentence in many countries in the world. But here in Canada, we embrace that. Many Muslim countries have laws against apostates. So if someone in an Islamic country does not want to belong to Islam anymore and try to leave, then that person can be killed. The Sikhs aren't treated any better in India, outside their own homeland. And the same goes with Hindus and Muslims, and they bring that baggage with them. Muslims don't really look too kindly upon Sikhs, because Sikhism is a mixture of Hinduism and Islam. Islamic scholars consider that an aberration. Now, Jagmeet Singh is a hypocrite, because what happens if, I don't know if he has kids, I haven't looked, but if he has a daughter and she brings home a white guy, what's going to happen? How's his progressive views going to hold out? That's the true test. Or what happens? And if he says no and she runs off, what's going to happen? Is he going to have relatives that kill her off? The honor killings that happen in places like that? Often. What about this one? I remember this, where the dad killed his daughters and wife over Western habits, alleged honor killings. Just because he brought his family here and he expects them to be like Afghans. That's not the whole point of immigrating. Immigrating is to get a new life, a better lease on life. Leave that kind of stuff behind. His daughters are just trying to fit in and become freer. But this guy went and killed them. Who's more dangerous? The father, who's in the family, or a guy in a van? Both are just as dangerous. Both are racially motivated. The father didn't like Western society, but he's living in a Western country. Cannot give that up. And his daughters paid the price. Would that happen too if Jagmeet's daughter brought home a white guy, and that might happen to her? There's only one way to test that. I know for a fact that a friend of my wife's was a Pakistani. She was going out with a white guy. Her parents found out and wouldn't talk to her, and then arranged her marriage to a Pakistani Christian in Pakistan. So she had to marry a guy she'd never met before. She's been in Canada since high school. She had to marry this guy in Pakistan and then bring him over, and then he brought his parents over. They're Christian, and Christians in Pakistan are very harassed and are subject to blasphemy laws. We don't have that. But by talking about Islamophobia, that's what's going to happen. It'll become many Islamics will probably want to have blasphemy laws here in Canada, and that would be a big mistake, or have Sharia law, which would be another big mistake to have in Canada. So Jagmeet Singh needs to calm down. He's trying to cater to the immigrants. He's trying to get votes, because he lost. He lost the majority of what the NDP, of people who used to vote NDP. He lost most of them, and he's going to lose more now. So he's trying to get the immigrant vote, which is mainly Toronto and some other big cities. The other thing is, when it comes to Islam, an Islamic person, if they marry a Christian, then that Christian person has to convert to Islam. It's not the other way around. It doesn't work both ways. A good friend of mine from my childhood, he married a Saudi Arabian girl. He had to convert to marry her. He can't. Now he's trapped in Saudi Arabia. It can't work either, because he's white. He's not a Saudi citizen. He can't work in Saudi Arabia legally. So he's trapped there for 10 years. And he's got kids. They're trapped there. Would that happen here? No. So Jagmeet Singh needs to tone down his rhetoric. I know he's trying to act tough and trying to get primetime TV for a fourth-rate party. And I think they're going to get killed in the next election. He's going to lose even more support in the next election. But anyway, any Canadians out there, let me know what you guys think of Jagmeet Singh in his comments. And is Canada that racist of a country? Like, it has racism. There's no doubt about that. But is it more racist than other countries, or more tolerant? I think it's pretty tolerant. You have to travel to other places to understand how tolerant Canada really is, and how so many people want to get in here. Anyway, leave your comments below. Hit the subscribe button, and let me know what you guys think. Until next time, this has been the Great White North Report.